Native American peoples, also known as Indigenous or American Indians, possess a rich history and culture that transcend time, despite the adversities imposed by colonization, including the loss of lands and traditions. These communities, representing over 500 distinct nations across the United States, continue to preserve their languages, traditions, and artistic expressions, reinforcing their cultural identity. When Christopher Columbus arrived in the Americas, he mistakenly called the natives Indians, believing he had reached the East Indies. Since then, native peoples have struggled to maintain their heritage, which dates back to ancient civilizations like the Anasazi and continues to influence modern society. Today, over 9 million Native Americans live across the United States, spanning regions from Alaska to Florida. While many stories about Native Americans remain untold, their achievements and resilience have shaped the cultural landscape of the United States. Exploring their heritage is an opportunity to better understand their contributions and traditions that have stood the test of time. The loss and fight for preservation of Native American languages. Before colonization, Native Americans spoke an impressive diversity of over 300 languages, with some estimates suggesting as many as 500 languages across the continent. However, this linguistic richness was severely impacted by assimilation policies imposed by colonizers. In 1868, President Ulysses S. Grant declared that linguistic diversity was a problem, advocating for English to replace native dialects. This led to systematic measures to eradicate indigenous languages, including the forced removal of communities from their ancestral lands and the transfer of children to boarding schools where they were forbidden to speak their native tongues and received education only in English. These devastating practices caused the disappearance of many languages. Only in 1972, with the passage of the Indian Education Act, did tribes begin reclaiming the right to teach their own languages. By then, the damage was profound. By 2013, only 169 native languages remained in the United States, many spoken by just a handful of people. To address this crisis, Congress passed the Native American Languages Act in 1990, offering support for the preservation and revitalization of these languages. Despite these efforts, nearly all Native American languages face extinction by 2050 unless effective measures are taken to protect them. Linguistic preservation is not only an act of cultural resistance, but also a way to honor and keep alive the history and identity of Indigenous peoples. The first newspaper in a Native American language, a Cherokee innovation. Before European settlers arrived, Native American languages were primarily oral, passed down through generations. However, the arrival of Europeans brought significant changes, and some tribes began adopting written forms of communication. A notable example of this transformation occurred with the Cherokee Nation, thanks to the innovative efforts of Sequoyah, a member of the tribe. Sequoyah dedicated 12 years to creating a writing system for the Cherokee people, resulting in an 86-character syllabary. Unlike other syllabaries, such as the Japanese hiragana, Sequoyah's system was developed by a native individual and tailored specifically to the sounds and phonetics of the Cherokee language. The simplicity of the syllabary allowed tribe members to learn to read and write quickly, often within 3 to 5 years, making it a highly effective tool for literacy. A significant milestone for Cherokee literacy occurred on February 21, 1828, with the publication of the Cherokee Phoenix in New Echota, Georgia. This bilingual newspaper, featuring content in both English and Cherokee, was the first publication in the United States to use a Native American language, showcasing the Cherokee community's progress in preserving and valuing their language and culture through writing. Federal and state recognition of Native American tribes. There are 574 federally recognized tribes in the United States, with a significant number located in Alaska, which is home to 229 tribes. California follows with 109 federally recognized tribes and has the largest Native American population in the country. Federal recognition grants these tribes sovereign government status, allowing them to establish formal relationships with the U.S. government. This status ensures certain rights, such as the ability to negotiate, cooperate, and influence federal policies. However, not all Native American tribes receive federal recognition, preventing them from accessing essential programs and resources. As a result, many unrecognized tribes face significant challenges in securing public services and government support. By 2020, 66 tribes in 13 states had achieved state recognition. While state recognition does not automatically provide federal benefits, it remains an important acknowledgement of their historical and ongoing existence. State recognition often serves as a crucial tool for tribes to defend their rights, cooperate with authorities, and improve the well-being of their communities. The ancient Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Indian Removal Act of 1830. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy, also known as the Iroquois Confederacy, is considered one of the oldest participatory democracies in the world. Some researchers trace its origins back to 1142, though the Confederacy itself claims roots in time immemorial. Its political structure, governed by the Great Law of Peace, Kainarakoa, functioned as a constitution for the nations within the Confederacy. In 1712, the Tuscarora became the sixth nation to join the Confederacy. Dr. Donald A. Grind, Jr., author of Exemplar of Liberty and professor of Yamasee Heritage at the University of Buffalo, highlights the Confederacy's uniqueness in uniting tribes across vast regions under a democratic system. Grind's research also points to the influence of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy on the U.S. Constitution, identifying three major contributions: the idea that sovereignty resides with the people, the separation of powers into distinct branches of government, and the use of a constitution recited annually, much like the Great Law of Peace. A significant historical event occurred in 1830 with the passage of the Indian Removal Act under President Andrew Jackson. This legislation was driven by white settlers' desire for fertile southern lands for cotton cultivation. The act forcibly displaced tribes such as the Choctaw, Cherokee, and Creek from their ancestral lands in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. These tribes were moved to Indian Territory, modern-day Oklahoma, through brutal migrations that caused the deaths of thousands. The Indian Removal Act remains one of the darkest chapters in American history, marked by the suffering and forced displacement of Native communities. Its tragic legacy continues to affect Indigenous communities, underscoring the importance of acknowledging and addressing historical injustices. The Navajo Nation, the largest tribal land and cultural impact. The Navajo Nation, the largest tribal nation in the United States, occupies an expansive territory of nearly 25,000 square miles, equivalent to the size of West Virginia and more than twice the size of Maryland. This land spans Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, forming one of the country's largest Native American reservations. The Navajo Nation also boasts the largest population of any tribe, with around 400,000 registered members, surpassing the Cherokee Nation in 2021. Despite their prominence, full participation of the Navajo in the U.S. democratic process was not ensured until the Voting Rights Act ended long-standing discriminatory practices. Today, the Navajo Nation stands as an example of resilience and the preservation of cultural traditions, including their language. The Navajo language plays a central role in Navajo identity and has been essential in keeping their traditions alive. The Navajo Nation remains the largest community of Native American language speakers, reflecting the ongoing effort to preserve their linguistic legacy. However, despite these achievements, Native Americans, including the Navajo population, face significant challenges, such as disproportionately high suicide rates among youth. This ongoing issue highlights the need for greater support and attention to mental health concerns within Native communities.